I've been here, we're all together, and it's a dream come true. It's come to fruition. I'm thrilled. I really am truly thrilled.
I met Norman over 25 years ago when he came on the board of directors at Public Access TV. And I remember saying, oh, I'm so excited because here's somebody who's a professional in television who's coming onto our board, not just an elected official. So he's going to know what we're all about and where we want to go with this organization. And then when he said that he wanted to help us and volunteer and contribute in a variety of ways, I was like over the moon.
I was an intern in 1995 when I first met Norman Hall, and I was terrified of him. He was very scary to me. He was the president of the board back then.
I met Norman in 1996. He was my first on-camera teacher in New York City at Weiss Barron School for Film and Television. And we had a bond immediately, and we worked together up until, recently.
First time I met Norman, it was in the old house on Middle Neck Road, and Shirley Bruno introduced Norman to me, and she said, Grace, this is Norman Hall from Great Neck Estates. He is a very acclaimed director, and he is starting a whole new project here at PATV called the Playwrights Project.
I first met Norman about 15 years ago when I was appointed to the board of Public Access.
The first project I did with Norman, it was actually through my husband, who did a number of projects, Greg Horton.
Not only was I actually aware of Norman in his career and with his experience, but it was quickly something I could see that the caliber of his direction.
He was like a marshmallow. He was very soft and sweet, and he appreciated anything that you did for him. He really appreciated it. And I think, everyone at PATV just kind of adopted him.
My first impression of Norman Hall was that this guy was the classic TV producer. Like he just screamed like entertainment industry to me. Like instantly just like clung to every word he said, because I knew that anything he said to me was gonna be gold.
It's like a pre-miracle miracle. That's my contribution.
It came at the perfect moment. He came with an idea, which was the Playwrights Project. So it was just, the timing was perfect. And then it began, and he began, slowly we began getting scripts. And in the beginning, they held the scripts, they were reading. And after a while, it just became too cumbersome, and we all realized it. And so we decided that we would do it like a movie. And we did, and of course he was expert at doing this.
You couldn't get a course like this in any college when you just were involved with the Playwrights Project under Norman. He was a great actor himself, an amazing Emmy Award-winning director. He could produce, he could write, he could do everything. He was amazing, and anybody who worked with him walked away that much richer in what they knew. I know I certainly did.
I think we had similar visions on a lot of things whenever we worked together, and quite frankly, as an actor, the fact that he cast me was my favorite thing. He continued to cast me.
Norman began his career as an actor, and then he got into directing in the theater, and then in television. And then he came to us, and he began as a director. And for many, many years, he directed the plays. I think only he directed the plays.
And he just wanted to do things that were good for our community audience. And of course, that were well written. We would pick a play. We had a group of people that would read them, and we'd give our comments, and we'd fight for which ones we wanted. And then Norman would cast, and then they'd rehearse in the city, and then come here to our studio. And somehow it worked out.
We get hundreds of scripts, and we were just having trouble finding good ones. And he began to write some plays. And he turned out to be very good. And he acted. So I think the path of Norman is really very interesting. He excelled at all of them.
We get in this conference room and we were shooting a play that he wrote called Do You Always Meet Women This Way? And we were going to transform this studio into Central Park. And he explained what he wanted, and we went over what we had, and he kind of assessed the situation. He says, okay, given what we have, what we can get, we can do this and make it happen. And so we did, me and Alex, we turned the studio into Central Park. It was my first time doing anything like that. Getting up on a ladder, hanging lights, focusing lights. Then Norman would come in and look at it and he'd say, "Oh, great, great. Now do it better."
One of the solutions we had to try to make the lighting better would be to use his friend, his best buddy, Phil, from SNL. So we would send him a drawing, send him the script, send him our plot with where the camera shots would be, and then he would come back with a lighting plot. However, his lighting plot was very Saturday Night Live, NBC lighting plot, and we are PATV, we don't have those lights lighting plot. So it was always a struggle trying to find a happy medium. We always did, though. It always worked out.
He always had the drive to get it done, and he knew what he wanted, and he knew how to get it from you, and which is important. You have to know, how to work with the actor and make it look like it's their idea. Yeah.
If we would stop the shot or stop the scene to fix a prop, to fix this, to fix maybe a shaky camera, Norman would always say, "Listen, if that's what they're paying attention to and not the actors, then we're doing something wrong here."
He would bring in his script that was marked with all the camera angles and the this and the cross sections and the whole thing. This was the true professional.
Taught me a ton.
If I could make Norman sit back and nod, he kind of would just watch the screen, and it felt so good.
He would stop paying attention to editing and tell me a story. Did I ever tell you about when I met Gene Kelly? And I thought that there was going to be some great words of wisdom about what we're editing. And when he relaxed, I knew that we were doing well.
He would tell me the story of Judith Light and how he loved working with her. And I had the pleasure, I was in the Fort Lauderdale airport, and I spotted her. And I happened to have an empty blank note card. And I went over to her and I said, "Excuse me, Ms. Light, I know you get accosted because you're a brilliant actress all the time, but we happen to have a director in common." And she, seemed a little startled and was quizzical. And as soon as I said Norman Hall, well, her face lit up and she smiled.
One of the times I moved his car for him, one of the ladies came up to me and he said, do you work with the veteran who comes out here? I was like, yeah, that's Norman. Yeah, he's one of our board members, a director. And she was like, I love him. And everybody outside knew Norman and would talk to him and just say the sweetest things about him. And you could see that he touched people's lives outside of PATV, just in this building, just because he would sit and wait for his car. The people he would talk to, he built a relationship with them, and everybody was always so happy to see him and talk to him.
He was here almost every day, and he would come in and he would just be happy. Okay, we had to put the chair up by the door because he would have to rest as he was walking in from the parking lot. And the one day he just plopped down and Erica ran up and winged him right across the floor, and he just laughed. I mean, he had fun here. He had fun, and he had fun with all of us.
I do want to tell you a true story. This is a true story. Okay, everybody? When I was born, I was the 9th son My mother and father had 9 boys. And my oldest brother was at college at the time, and my father sent him a telegram. And the telegram read, "Another one, I quit." So the result is, I didn't have any sisters. But I do have sisters. I have Shirley, I have Erica, I have Grace, I have Barbara. They're as close to me as any sister could possibly be.
He called us his family, his work family, and what an honor. You know, his family, his biological family is so beautiful.
I felt more he was like my grandfather, always giving words of wisdom, always asking how your family was. We'd always eat together. It was nice.
I would be in a dilemma about something, and Norman would come in and sit in my office. I even remember going over to his house, and Norman, what do I do? What can I do? And he didn't tell me what to do, but he asked me the questions that I needed to ask myself. So I would come up with the right answer. And the one thing he did tell me, though, he said, hire Marcelo Mendez.
When we had the blackout after the hurricane, he moved in with us, and he was with us for 5 days. And we would stay up watching movies and talking, and he was like a father to me.
I think, honestly, the best story that he has and that he really needed told was the play. You know, I know he had pushed for that. I've been here for 3 playwrights now, and every year that play came in. So I'm glad for him.
I Can See You was another Norman Hall written play, one of his so-called bench plays. 2 people interacting on a bench. He loved that idea of this like moment in time between 2 people, and he played with that a lot throughout the years.
So he was in California, and he was casting while he was gone. And so by the time he came back, the cast was already picked. He had Robert and Roxanne, and they were decided. So when he came back, there's the 2 main actors, and then there was Roxanne as a young girl. Back in the day, the flashback. We were about 2 weeks away from starting to the production when he passed away.
The Playwrights Project was Norman's baby. He was the heart and soul of it, and we didn't know if we could do it without him. But we decided that in his honor, we were going to produce his last play. We know he would have wanted it.
You know, one minute you're planning a production, and the next minute the heart of the whole Playwrights production is gone. So where do you go? Where do we go? We've always, followed Norman wherever whatever he said, we did. And now that was missing. But we need a director. We didn't have a director. We didn't have dates to shoot it.
Chuck, long relationship with the Playwrights Project, offered to direct, and it was a great idea.
We didn't know if we were going to do it indoors. We didn't know if we were going to do it outdoors. If we did it outdoors, where we were going to shoot it. There were just so many question marks that were now out on the table that we had to figure out. We randomly reached out to the Science Museum. They were so open. They let us come in. And then the day of, it was just the most gorgeous day ever.
It was a warm day. It was some of my favorite weather is when it's like chilly in the morning, and then that afternoon sun hits and everybody starts taking off their coats.
This beautiful field of the Science Museum with the fall foliage and the colors perfect, and the sun setting and the water's in the background.
When you're saying lines like, it's a lovely day, and you see the bright blue sky and the sun and the leaves, it just adds so much depth.
It's a lovely day.
Of course, it was an honor that he asked me to be a part of this, a compliment as well, especially in that he wrote this.
And with him, he would always say that, oh no, the crew, everybody, without the crew, nothing happens. He always had the perspective of being grateful for everyone and everything and everybody's contribution.
Go.
We don't have a slate, so this was the option, right? But we give it to an experienced clacker.
Wait, but hold on. So these are from Norman's basement.
Right.
Probably from 40 years ago.
Okay, quiet on the set, please. Erica?
2-shot, take 6.
But we give it to an experienced, you can turn the camera, to an experienced clacker. This is Chuck, by the way. And we asked him, can you do it?
Take 3.
This is what happened. Wait for the accent. This is Chuck doing thing.
He broke Norman.
He broke Norman.
He broke Norman.
And
What?
He's the director. He broke the clack.
I broke the brick.
And
Norman.
these are Norman's bricks. So the inexperienced director of clacker, this is what he did.
It's what we have
to
left.
Norman.
It's his homage here.
Hold on. I'm an inexperienced director clacker.
Yeah. Way to go.
And this is what he did to Norman's bricks.
I'm a mother clacker.
Are you angry? Did you have to be so aggressive with the bricks?
I'm sorry.
These could be like
The actors are
90-year-old
amazing. The set is amazing. The crew is amazing. You destroyed.
You know, if I had a better crew, because I'm not a clacker.
With I Can See You, we're editing now without Norman, but we still want to keep everything he's ever taught us in mind, and so picking a song was going to be a little difficult. So Marcelo just kind of took a song from a production. We do a show called The Brick Wall, and we have live bands come and play. And there was a song that had a violin, and it was very pretty, very nice, and it felt with the mood. As Marcelo was editing it, more and more, that song was just growing, and it stayed in our ears, and it fit so well. So eventually, Marcelo was sitting and decided, hey, let me listen to this song. I've been using just the violins for so long. Let me go and listen to the whole song. And the song, the lyrics to the song fit so amazingly well with the theme of the play, and it was so beautiful. And everybody who watched the footage we shot paired with the music just started crying.
I miss Norman every day. It's hard for me sometimes to come back into this office, pass his office, and not think of him, not expect that I'm going to look in the doorway and see him sitting there. And I do. I say, hi, Norman, every time I pass.
He was also a big part of like the PATV conscience. I don't know if that makes sense, you know? So if we have a question what we're doing, question a production, question how to do something, you went down to Norman's office.
He had certain catchphrases that we all keep in our head.
He would just like get that sparkle in his eye, and his lip would turn up, and I'd say, a penny for your thoughts, and he'd say, no, they're worth a lot more than that. And I would laugh.
He was amazing. You know, he was full of energy up until the end. I mean, his energy was endless, everything about him. He spoke like I'm stuttering right now. He kind of had that stutter and that stammer about him because his mind was 10 steps ahead of the mouth.
He seemed to enjoy life, to love what he was doing, and I admired him because he would still continue into his twilight years doing what he loved.
The patriarch, the one everybody goes to. If you need something, Norman was there. If you had to talk to somebody, Norman would be there. He liked holding court.
We should remember his attitude, sort of like Yoda's. Just do it. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Don't think about what you're going to do. Just do it. Get it done. You can always go back afterwards, but you got to do it. You got to get started, you got to get it done.
That craftsmanship and that technical skill combined with the heart is something that's, that's the whole deal, that's the package.
He was astute. He really knew his business, and he knew it as an actor, as a director, as a playwright.
He always had something kind of like equate the conversation to something from his past that just made so much sense, and I'm gonna miss his stories.
I think that's also something that was good about this play, being able to do this play, because it gave us something to hold on to him. You know, it was like we're still connected. You know, he's not gone because we're still connected to what he's doing. This is his play, this is his baby. It's the last thing that he really wanted to do. So we haven't been able to let go of Norman, you know, and so I think that's helped us get through this time and keep us moving forward too.
For the love of Norman, we have him for eternity, which is lovely.
He was very happy with his children, and we all know what his children felt about him. Norman was ahead of himself in many, many ways. He was always a creator.
Over my lifetime and my career in television and the theater, I've always kind of dreamed about a repertory theater and being a part of it. And for as long as I can remember, I felt that way. And I've finally come to kind of realize my dream. We have a repertory company here. We really, really do. I want to, again, thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you.